They know not to put a student name in there. They know not to put a student picture in there. And so they're literally obfuscating data and then using their personal AIs to do stuff. My husband is an engineer and he's also a technology director. And he woke me up literally at 4 o'clock in the morning, one morning, when he had gotten early access to ChatGPT. And we had been working on a chat bot at our district to try to with like new teacher onboarding. And he woke me up and he was like, we're going to throw away the chatbot. This is going to change everything. And they were already using their own personal ChatGPT to help them do stuff. Right. And, they're doing it without permission. They're not asking permission. It's better to ask forgiveness than ask permission. Even though you have at the federal level, you have, President Trump saying, here's an executive order in the United States about how we have to do AI in K-12 education. When you get down to the state level.
Hi, everyone. My name is Munawwar Khan, and I welcome you to another episode of our podcast series called Control Plus Head, where we discuss technology, AI and education in the context of education. Professional development is where innovation in teaching or education either gains momentum or it dies. AI is not only here to stay, but it is right now defining how teaching and learning will happen in future, or how it is already happening. I have a very special guest today to talk about the role of professional development, the importance of it when it comes to implementation of AI in education. Maurie Beasley, a former teacher, assistant principal, tech coach, and now a voice helping schools integrating AI meaningfully. Thank you very much, Maurie, for joining in today's podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I would like to say that I am still working at a school district, so I like to go out and, be at different conferences and stuff like that, but I'm actually a technology administrator for my district. And so, which is awesome because it's allowed me, after I left the assistant principal position and went back to the dark side, back over to the technology department. Right. It's allowed us to have several different really great pilot programs. Mm-hmm. We call them the AI Trailblazers. And so we adopted numerous teachers last school year, and we basically gave them a ton of access to large language models. We have a thing that we call our Agnes, but basically what we've done is we have like an API connection to 4 different large language models, and that allows us to be able to give them access and only pay for the tokens. And so we're not having to pay for subscription cost. So it's not costing us a lot of money, but they are getting the latest models. And then I was able to help them utilize AI specifically in their classrooms and then get all the data back as to how it helped their test scores and their attendance rates and stuff like that. And it did. The way that they were using it definitely gave them a little bit of an advantage over the teachers across the hallway that were not utilizing it. So, but I'm still in the trenches. I got to say that because it's...
Thank you very much for correcting. And it is great to know. Also good to know that you are part-time LLM engineer as well. So congratulations on the new role.
Yes.
So you have spent over 17 years in education.
Yes.
And are also now at the forefront of AI integration at schools. When did you first realize the potential in AI, that it was not just something that, just merely a tool, but something that should be a part of every school and every school's PD strategy?
Well, I will tell you that my husband is an engineer and he's also a technology director, and he woke me up literally at 4 o'clock in the morning, one morning, when he had gotten early access to ChatGPT. And we had been working on a chat bot at our district to try to with like new teacher onboarding. And he woke me up and he was like, we're going to throw away the chat bot. This is going to change everything. And since then, which was of course like October of 2022, when this first hit hit the Wild West, basically. Um, it's been amazing. And the reason that I think that it is so different is because a long time ago, I had a teacher tell me that she would use technology in her classroom when technology was as easy to use as a pencil.
Right.
Because she's like, I'm busy. I don't have time to go up these learning curves. I don't have time to do all the stuff that my technology department's asking me to do. So you give it to me, make it as easy to use as a pencil, and I will use it. And at the time, my husband's like, a pencil, you can erase with it, you can write with it, and, you can chew on it. Those are about the three things that you can do with a pencil. So at the time, he was like, well, that's probably not going to happen. Well, now with artificial intelligence,
It is happening.
it literally is as easy to use as a pencil. You pull up a chat like OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, whatever, Gemini. You pull up one of these large language models, and you have a conversation with it. That's it. You don't have to read a manual. You don't have to watch a bunch of YouTube videos. You don't have to go out and get some little certification badge to put on your door saying that you're certified in something. You literally have conversations with it. And if it doesn't give you the answer you want, you ask it a different way. So that's why I think that artificial intelligence has the ability to be revolutionary in education.
Okay, so it makes it actually very cool, right? So when ChatGPT was out, everyone was playing with it. And of course, a machine, when we know it's not human and it is giving human-like responses, it was super cool. But then, of course, things started to, I won't say to go down, but of course, it became a little more normal. And at this point in time, there are a lot of teachers who think that AI, when it comes to implementation in education, is still just a buzzword, a cool technology that looks very cool and sound very cool. What is your perspective on this? Do you think, or what makes it different from previous technology trends that you think AI probably is going to stay, is not going away anywhere?
Well, I think the situation we're running into is that a lot of people are treating artificial intelligence like it's the next Google search, because we went from the indexed web over to the generative web.
Right.
Now, instead of it indexing all the information and us having to go find the information like we're looking in the back of a book, now it generates or synthesizes new information based on what it's been trained on. But people are still using it like it's a glorified search. Right. So the buzzword, I think, is that concept that, okay, it's just taken over Google or it's taken over Gemini or, whatever, and I'm just using it to search. They're not using it properly. They don't have the training, the professional development, like you said, to understand that it is so much more than just a search engine or just a different way to look up information. It all has to do with how they ask the questions, how they get the answers back, how they then ask the next question, get the next answer back. It can take you so much further than just a regular everyday, hey, how do I make a margarita? Give me a recipe for this or whatever. So it's not a buzzword. I think that it's a misconception because they're not understanding all that it can do for education.
And why is there this gap in understanding? Where is it coming from?
Honestly, I think it's because teachers are so inundated with the day-to-day life of teaching that they haven't had a chance to step back and see it for something else. They haven't had the opportunity to explore it for something else. Right. I think that we need to find something that's a little personal for them to be able to do. I was doing a training the other day. I was in a district and we were training their leadership team. And we always call it the aha moments. you have teachers that come in that they've used it. They kind of know what AI is for. They use it occasionally. They definitely know that it's now what comes up at the top of their search engines whenever they search for something. Then we have the ones that'll come in. We had this one gentleman come in that didn't even have a computer with him, even though it was for a technology training. I mean, he's just, he's completely anti-AI.
Okay.
Thinks it's gonna, the world's gonna burn because of it, that kind of thing.
Right.
And when we were finished with the training, we had showed him how you could take it and talk to it about your diet and your cholesterol level and ways that you could help, because he was an older gentleman.
Right.
And when he started seeing what it could do to actually support him on a personal level, and not just write an email or write a letter or enhance a lesson or, but he actually started seeing what it could do for him personally. He went and got his computer and brought it back and signed up for a free subscription to one of the large language models, because he was fascinated with what it could do other than just the basics. So I think that that's the problem that we're currently having, is that everyone's at a level 0 for their training. And before you can really get something out of it, you need to have the time to get to a level 1 or a level 2.
This is really interesting. So you're saying if we, in order to make the professional development sessions successful when it comes to implementation of AI, it should be a little more personal to
absolutely
showcase what it can do, not just for them as teachers, but also in their personal lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other day I was talking to my husband, and one of the things that everyone loves to say is, hey, we're going to use AI for differentiation. Oh, we're going to use AI to enhance a lesson.
Right.
Oh, we're going to use AI to get your kids more engaged. If I had someone walk into my classroom and say, hey, did you know that your students would learn better if they were more engaged in their lessons? I would literally look at the person and go, really? Seriously? Because they're not telling me something I don't already know.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you're having this stuff say, hey, it can write this cool email, or it can, take this lesson and put it on 3 different levels, or it can, as a seasoned teacher, veteran teacher, I'm like, you're not telling me anything that I don't already know. I mean, my kids are apathetic. My kids aren't engaged. My kids aren't showing up for school. My kids are getting entertained 24/7. They're getting dopamine on the, death by scroll that they're doing on their phones all the time. So when you come in and try to train me on something like that, I'm going to tune out immediately. But if you come in and you say, hey, guess what? Let's offload some of that other cognitive load that you're doing every day in your personal life, then you have more time to make that human connection with your students, which then in turn makes your classrooms better.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean.
So maybe talk more about their pain points and how AI could help in that. But again, I mean, even to address that, you would have to eventually, for example, need to tell them, okay, this is how you could integrate differentiation using AI. What would be the best way to convince someone to use, for example, AI for creating more differentiated lesson plans? What would be the right approach to get their attention and without them thinking or feeling that, okay, well, I already know this. I know what differentiation is. So maybe I don't need to.
So I have a master's in counseling, and I was a counselor for a while. And one of the ways that I know that you can really reach teachers is through heart, through their feelings, because teachers have big feelings. I mean, that you wouldn't be in the profession had you not, wanted to make a connection or change a life, or, the reason that most teachers get into teaching is for that, because believe me, they don't get into it for summers off. So I always try to connect it with something that is personal. One of the ways that I show them differentiation is a long time ago, when we had kids in our classrooms that were on multiple reading levels, we would pull out these little readers, and one reader would have like a big circle at the top of it, and it would have like the number 1 in the circle. And the other one would have the number 2, and the other one would have the number 3. And so you hand these kids these little readers based on their reading level. Well, as a counselor, you look at that and you go, this is all wrong. Right. Because now everyone in that classroom knows something about that student that they don't need to know. And so the kid that's on the level 1, psychologically that's not good for them. Right. Because now the kid that's on level 3 could be a bully and could pick on the kid that's on level 1, right? So let's bring AI into the mix. Let's sit down in my 3rd grade classroom and let's sit down with my kids and say, hey, we're going to create a story, and let's brainstorm together, and let's come up with, here are the characters' names, here's the setting that it's going to be in, here's my plot twist that's going to happen, and so we're hitting all of these English language arts, standards that we need to hit. And then I'm going to take their information, I'm going to put it into an AI, I'm going to do a 10-paragraph paper or 5-paragraph story, whatever I think is okay, with an AI. And then I'm going to tell that AI to use the same character names, the same setting, the same plot, make it on 3 different reading levels. I'm going to send it to those kids in Google Classroom. Each kid's going to read the story that's on their reading level without knowing what reading level the other kid's on. And then we're going to have a whole group discussion about the story. And the whole group discussion is all about the same characters, all about the same setting, all about the same plot twist. And so you are helping these kids learn without pointing out to everyone in the class that you're having to differentiate for that student.
Right.
A teacher would want to do that just to help those kids not feel embarrassed about where they're at.
Yes. And I'm sure every teacher, pretty much every teacher, they want to see the kids do better or the best in their lives.
Yes.
They want them to improve in every way, not just in the classroom, of course. But it is that that burnout. They're completely overwhelmed. They don't really have time to spend with kids. When it comes to professional development. Let's talk about private schools a little bit. So teachers at private schools, salaries are limited. Teachers everywhere, they're currently complaining about how small the salaries are really, and there are pretty much no perks associated. Why would they spend or invest time, and in some cases even money, into their professional development? What should be the motivation? Yeah,
that is actually a problem that we're running into. I mean, I have a company on the side that we go out and we do professional development in a bunch of districts. And last year we were busier and booking more than this year. And this year they're saying that they don't have the budget for it. They're like, we just don't know where the money is going to come from to do this professional development. Even though you have at the federal level, you have, President Trump saying, here's an executive order in the United States about how we have to do AI in K-12 education. When you get down to the state levels, there's not that many states that have picked up and said, hey, we're going to have to put AI literacy into K-12 education. And I'm going to say something, and I hope you're okay with me with me saying a bad word, but there's an old saying about being up to your ass in alligators.
Right.
That's what teachers are. And
100%.
The private schools, I've done PD at private schools before, and one of the things about them is that they don't have the kid with the ankle bracelet. They don't have the kid with the mom that's a meth head. They don't have and so the private school has a little bit of an up, they're a little bit ahead in that aspect of education. When you go to K-12 public education, I mean, literally, when I was an assistant principal, I kept a toilet bowl plunger under my desk because I had toilets that would back up at least once a week,
Oh my goodness.
and we didn't have the maintenance staff to come take care of the toilet. So I was grabbing my toilet bowl plunger and going down to my kindergarten classroom and unplugging toilets at least, once every week or so. And so that's the kind of stuff that teachers are dealing with on a daily basis.
Right.
I mean, I know before we started recording, I was telling you about it. We had a teacher one time, I got a thing over the radio, go to room 213 as soon as possible. We've got a problem in there. And I walk in and a snake had fallen from her air conditioning vent onto her desk. And so, I've got a broom and a scoop trying to get a snake out of a classroom. And it's those types of disruptions
Right.
that happen every single day. So you're asking me to teach these kids, and those are disruptions that aren't even kid disruptions. I mean, you have kids that are melting down. You have kids that are getting under desk. I've had kids throw desk at me. I've had kids throw books at me, and so you've got all of this other stuff going on that teachers are just overwhelmed. And so
They
3:30.
also feel threatened. So I've even seen different posts, not exactly that level of issues and problems. This is actually quite severe, right? But issues where someone is melting down and they are struggling with something, and the teacher has to do something. And then there is that comparison that AI will never be able to do this, so AI can never replace teachers. First of all, why is there a comparison? Secondly, how can AI help in these situations, directly or indirectly?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly how. We had an AI Trailblazer pilot program, and we had 6 teachers that we took, and we gave them access to several different large language models. And I would go into their classrooms once a week for about 30 minutes, and I would sit down with them and I'd say, hey, how are we going to use AI this week? So we would take the AI and we would do things like the typical things. They have a template that they have to fill out and put on a Google Drive with their lesson plan. That template takes time. So what used to take them 45 minutes at least once a week to fill out the week's worth of templates so that their principal could see what they were supposed to be doing in their classroom, they were starting to use AI to help them fill out those templates. Say, this is what we're teaching. This is what my lesson looks like. Please get me the 3 questions that I need to put, and so they were using an AI to help them do stuff faster. They were using AI to help them differentiate that lesson faster. They were using AI to help them do their grocery lists for that evening based on the picture they took of what was in their refrigerator. So they were able to do things that is low-hanging fruit to give them back time, right? And one of the things that one of the teachers told me is she was like, artificial intelligence was allowing her to be able to fill her cup with things that were good and not things that she just had to get through. They even started an exercise class after school because they now had time to start having the exercise class because they weren't sitting at their desk doing all this paperwork. And so she was telling me about how, because the AI was helping her take some things off of her plate, that she had more time and more capacity to help those kids that are having those meltdowns.
Right.
Because she was taking care of herself. And you have to take care of yourself before you can truly take care of others.
But how open school leaders or schools are for this approach? So, for example, if I just take the same example that you gave, teachers, being able to look after themselves better, relax a little, because some of that can now be delegated to AI. But would it not be taken as not the best use of the time, and then they would be assigned something else to fill in that time gap?
I think you have in the old days, we called it like shadow IT. to
Right.
where that they're doing it on their own time and they're not advertising that they're doing it.
Okay.
I think that is what's happening, because whenever I would walk around and I would talk to the teachers there at my district, and I had the ones that I had given them the AI stuff, and then I would go talk to somebody else in the classroom and I would say, hey, artificial intelligence. And I cannot tell you one teacher that did not have a free version of ChatGPT. And they were already using their own personal ChatGPT to help them do stuff.
Right.
And, they're doing it without permission. They're not asking permission. It's better to ask forgiveness than ask permission.
Right.
Teachers have been trained for a really long time not to give away personal information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been having to go through FERPA and all this other type of training for so long that they know not to put a student name in there. They know not to put a student picture in there. And so they're literally obfuscating data and then using their personal AIs to do stuff. And that's where I want to see more professional development, because as an administrator, as somebody who's in the tech department, I need to make sure that I don't have that one teacher who doesn't know how to use an AI that ends up putting something personal or something in an AI that they shouldn't do. Right.
Yeah, that is a big risk right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's that AI literacy thing that I think a lot of the administrators need to start thinking about. Not the tools. The teachers are going to go find the tools themselves.
Right.
They really are. I mean, they're going to, if they find something, they're going to start using it. And a lot of it's word of mouth. They get together, and I have one teacher use it on this side of the hallway. The next thing I know, I've got all the teachers down the hallway using it, because they're like, oh my God, how the hell can she leave at 4:00 in the afternoons?
Right.
What are you doing? And so they start talking. And so it's the AI literacy piece that I think the administrators need to start worrying about more than just the tool that they need to train them on.
Right. So one is AI literacy. What else should be included? So in your opinion, what should or does an effective professional development plan looks like? In the context of AI in education, of course.
Right. Yeah. I think that effective PD looks like start at the top. Your leaders have to know what they're doing and how they're doing it. And it's like the leadership training I did the other day, it starts at the top and it gets pushed down into the system. And that helps, because then it gives the ones below permission to ask questions and to get more education and stuff, because then they don't feel like they're hiding in the shadows and using the tools at home. So you start at the top and then you work your way down into your teachers and then your support staff. Now, for your teachers, your professional development, I 100% agree that they need to be taught how to prompt, how to continue to prompt until they can get the answer that they're looking for. I don't believe that there's a one-size-fits-all tool that is out there. So when we go in and do professional development, we tend to hit the top 4, the big guys. And we're like, okay, if you're using ChatGPT, then this is what you're probably going to be using it for. If you have like large documents, like say you're in the maintenance department and you're doing like air conditioning documents or something like that, then you're going to want to use something like Claude. And so we're constantly telling them which tool is best. Like right now, Claude is a little bit better at coding than OpenAI is, and so we're always like going back and forth like that. I don't like some of the tools that are out there that I call wrappers, because to me, it's like training wheels. And so, sure, we tell our teachers, if you already have a free account at one of the, from one of the wrapper tools, continue to use it, but you need to learn what it is that they are doing for you. What they are doing for you is they are creating a prompt on the back end after you give them the information. So let's learn how to create those prompts, because what happens if you walk in one day and that wrapper tool is no longer there? So, and that's happened to me personally. We had a tool called My Big Campus back a long time ago, like in the early 2000s. And it was almost like a Facebook looking thing when Facebook first came out. And we had all of our lesson plans and everything in this My Big Campus. And I walked in one day and My Big Campus had gone under and nothing was there. You couldn't even log in. And so you need to know how to communicate with it without having to have a wrapper tool. That way, if everything happens, you can go, you can do that. And then a lot of hands-on. I mean, a lot of hands-on stuff. I like it whenever we get like this side is going to pull up their free version of ChatGPT, and these people are going to pull up their free version of Claude, and these guys are going to pull up Gemini. We're going to take the same exact prompt, and we're all going to give it to them, and then we're going to see what happens. The prompt that I like giving is something like, I am trying to get a acting position for a really big movie role. And to get this acting position, I need to gain 30 pounds in 4 weeks. Can you please, it's like, can you please give me a diet plan and what I need to do to gain 30 pounds in 4 weeks?
Right.
And these different large language models, they all answer differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get to see that there's one is not the same as the other, And so it's those fun things about professional development that I think that you need to do.
To add a little bit of emotion, a little bit of fun in there. Yeah.
Yes. And then give them something to take back. Give them like the create. Create is like how we teach them how to prompt. Mm-hmm. Caught red-handed is how we teach them how to address students who use it to cheat. And so we have several different things that we like to give them to take back, poster size, to take back to their room so that they can remember that it's there. Because once they get back to their room and that kid's under the desk and that parent's cussing them out and that, they're going to forget all about it. So, yeah.
So what I have noticed when it comes to these type of sessions, workshops, it's not that schools are not taking these things seriously, because of course AI is everywhere. It is also a very good marketing tool for a lot of schools, especially the private ones, because of course their revenue depends on a very good image and a very good position in front of interested parents. But what I've noticed is that usually the focus is on single-day workshop, single-day training. So there is enough material to show that, okay, we are into this. But it is not actually the part of a long-term professional development plan. Is workshop-only approach, first of all, is it enough?
I don't think so, personally. I think that we have what they call a Kickstarter program, and that's when you go in and you do like a half a day, and we always break it into two different sections. We always do pre-K through fifth grade, because we don't talk about cheating a whole lot in pre-K through fifth grade. And then we do 6 through 12, and that's when we address the cheating, and because that's the first thing. We always address that first, because that's the first thing teachers want to know about it, because, it's killing critical thinking. Right. Kids are using it to cheat, and so they want to know about that. But then after that's all said and done, that's when I think you can really get into, okay, here's a level 1 training and a level 2 training and a level 3 training. Those things could be done virtually, and they could just be done like where teachers sign up for it. I also think it's really important to maintain a community. Make sure that the teachers that are in the room that are doing the training, that they get the newsletter that you're sending out, or that they are part of your LinkedIn community or your school.com community, or wherever it is that you have a community following. Also, make sure that you're available for them to ask questions. I think that them being able to feel comfortable enough with the person who's done the training to where they can come back and say, oh my God, I did this. teachers like affirmation, right? We like it when people tell us, good job. That's
Right.
human, actually. Humans like affirmation. So a lot of times what I do is I love to be able to take and say, hey, if you do this, send me a picture. Send me a picture of you doing this. And I want to put it on my LinkedIn, or I want to put it on my Facebook, or I want to put it, and so giving those teachers that affirmation that they're doing a good job, I think that's important. Administration tends to do it in a half day or a full day. And unfortunately, you've got the same problem with admin that you have with teachers.
Right.
They have so much on their plate right now.
And no one sees that. Yeah.
And I don't like it whenever I have people come and say, oh, well, this admin, oh, well, they don't do anything. Oh, well, they don't, and I'm like, they're keeping up with all of the House bills, all of the Senate bills, all of the stuff that's going on in legislation right now, all the stuff that just got signed into law. We've got, in Texas specifically, we have a brand new cell phone and smartwatch ban that we have to worry about between now and the first day of school because kids aren't allowed to have it out. We have the 10 Commandments being put into every one of our classrooms now. We have, so there's so much coming down political that these administrators are worried about.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have time to think about, okay, how am I going to give these teachers AI and help my teachers? Because if it's not broke, don't fix it. So they're just limping along with what we did last year and the year before, and just kind of ignoring that part of education because they have so much on their plates.
Right. By the way, you just discussed a few examples of policy changes. A little off topic, but just out of curiosity, what is the AI policy in education in the US? Is it going to be mandatory, or what exactly are we looking at?
It's non-existent. It doesn't exist. I am on the board of directors for the Austin AI Alliance. And one of the reasons I got on the board was because I want K-12 to have say at a legislative level. And so right now, like the state of Texas, they are finally starting to do some stuff about artificial intelligence when it comes to state agencies and government agencies and things like that. But when it comes to AI in K-12 education and guidance, the state of Texas has not officially done anything. So, and there are a lot of states out there. I think there's maybe 31 states that have an official, hey, this is an AI guidance that we want you to do AI in K-12 education. But it's guidance. It's very vague, very general. There's nothing specific in it.
But is it good? So it is a little more open, or do you think it is more problem prone actually?
I think it's more problem because I think you're going to have a lot of schools out there that, because the administrators again are just, they're overwhelmed with other things, they're just going to ignore it.
Right.
They're going to ignore it. I had a superintendent one time that told me if it's not monitored, it's optional. And I think that's the situation we're going to run into with a lot of the things with AI, is that if the states don't come in, even now it's like, we're supposed to have computer science. We're supposed to teach computer science at our school. We haven't had a computer science class except for 1 year when my husband taught it. That's it. And it's not because we don't want to. It's because we can't find a qualified person to teach it. It's because we can't find somebody to come in and take the time. And it's because computer science is not tested on the state test.
Oh, okay.
Math, reading, science, social studies. Those are the 4 things that we are tested on the STAR. And because the STAR is such a huge part of accountability in the state of Texas, that's what everyone focuses on. So it's a slippery slope as to, and our brain capacity is is to the point now with my kids in my classrooms, something's got to give. I mean, I can remember when we stopped teaching how to read an analog clock. Clocks are all digital, but we were supposed to spend 3 days teaching how to read an analog clock. But you don't need to read an analog. I mean, it's important, but that's not one of those things that I have to learn when I'm in the first grade, right? And so somebody needs to look at the curriculum and figure out what it is that we can shave off the top and still get our kids to be able to compete in the world once they get out of education.
Right. No, and I can absolutely relate to that, because I have studied floppy disks when they were actually non-existent. So we are moving towards the final couple questions of the podcast. One would be related to your book that I'm just going to, ask right at the end to tell about. But just before that, what steps do you think school leaders should take today in order to ensure successful AI integration in their professional development?
The first step I think they need to take is learn what it is. I mean, I know of several upper level admins who have never even used an AI. So I think one of the first steps they need to do is they need to actually sign up for a free account, ask it a couple of questions, let it blow your mind, and then go, wow, this is amazing. I mean, and again, it's one of those things to where I actually showed our superintendent, we had just paid a bunch of money to get someone to do a press release because we were going out to try to get a bond election. And I was like, well, hang on. And I put it in an AI and it wrote a press release. And his first comment was like, oh my God, I just paid somebody $5,000 to do something that thing just did in 10 seconds. Right. And so it has to hit the administrators where it counts. And right now where that counts is budget. Okay, because we're losing funding in K-12 education like crazy. And so whenever I go to someone that's an admin and I say, hey, instead of paying somebody $5,000 to drive 5 hours from Dallas to come fix this printer, I just fixed the printer because I asked my AI what the problem was. So you have to, you have to show them, you have to hit them where it counts for them to take it seriously. And it's not because they don't want to take it seriously. It's because they don't have time to take it seriously. But if you start hitting them in the pocketbook, then they're going to start going, you know what, this is kind of cool. I wonder what else it could do. There's a TEKS unpacker that I just did as a GPT because we were going to pay somebody $10,000 to come in and train all of our teachers on how to unpack the Texas TEKS. And I was like, why are you paying somebody $10,000 when I can spend, an hour to do a GPT and give it all the knowledge base that it needs, and we can unpack the TEKS ourselves? So it's those kinds of things that I think the administrators need to be shown so that they can start taking it seriously.
Does that mean that we basically need to create local AI heroes?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. The AI to me is a grassroots educational thing. I mean, education has been the same for so long because, modern day education was created for us to produce factory workers. Right. And so it's been the same for so long. And because of high stakes testing, we haven't changed that paradigm. I was on a book call yesterday, like a book club, and part of the book club was about project-based learning. And one of the first things I had to put out there, because I try not to be the cynical one, but if I am given a curriculum from my district and I am told that I have to teach that curriculum word for word, literally read the script and follow it to the letter for 150 days of my 171 days that my kids are with me, when do I have time to do project-based learning?
Absolutely, yes.
And so it has to be a grassroots educational shift that we need to make happen, not just in the US, but in Canada and in other locations, because we are going to keep falling behind. We're going to keep falling behind all the other countries that are taking it seriously.
Thank you very much, Maurie. It was full of, learnings for my own self, very insightful. And there are a few very important takeaways, especially I love the idea of integrating or, including some emotional aspects when it comes to professional development. And the last local hero part, I absolutely love the idea. And I guess you're absolutely right. This is what's needed because it is, first of all, cost effective. And then, of course, you cannot ask for a professional every time you fall into a problem, right? So
That's right.
You need people around you. Thank you very much for your time today.
Before You're very welcome.
End the podcast, if you would like to share a bit about your book, what's coming next, what events you want to invite people to.
So I'll be at ISTE coming up. I'm on a panel with Intel. I'll be doing that on Tuesday. Then, of course, we're hitting August with a whole bunch of professional developments that we're going to be doing for different districts around the state of Texas. But I have a book. It's called Teachers Have Bigger Fish to Fry. And yes, originally it was going to be called Teachers Are Up to Their A in Alligators. But then I decided that wasn't appropriate to have in an elementary classroom. So it's Teachers Have Bigger Fish to Fry. It's tales from K-12 education. Basically, I've spent the last year collecting stories from teachers that are in the classroom. Everything from, as I mentioned, a snake dropping from an AC vent to, the kid that hides under the desk to, all sorts of stories. Some of them are sad. Some of them are, I can't believe that just happened, and so I took all the stories and I put them in, and then there's some reflection and some journaling. And then I asked, how could AI have helped here? And then it's a real, this is how AI could have helped you, or this is how AI could not have helped you. This is when you could call on it, and this is when you just need to ask it for a good recipe for a margarita because, honey, you got problems, So it's being released on July the 4th. So it'll be out there on July the 4th. And
Independence Day for the US and Independence Day for teachers, I hope.
For teachers, that's what I hope. It's a way for teachers to know that they're not alone.
Right.
Because when you're in education, you are in a silo. Mm-hmm. You are in a room with 20 to 30 children. And let's not say that 17 and 18-year-olds that are seniors are not children, because they don't necessarily have the mental capacity of an adult. Yeah. You are in a room with these kids, and it's just you. And so you're in a silo, and sometimes you don't feel like you're being seen. You don't feel like you're being heard. And so that was the whole point of the book, is that you're not alone, and you can open it up, read a story, 2 minutes, and laugh a little, cry a little, but at least know that you're not the only one out there trying to do good for kids.
Thank you very much, Maurie. All the best for the book launch. I wish you all the best, and I hope it becomes bestseller. And not only I would recommend people, but I would really, really like to read. So if it is available in Audible or wherever, just please.
It's going to be on Amazon, and I did not put it out there as an Audible because it has journaling pages, and it has coloring pages, and it has reflection pages, because it's because of a counseling background. I wanted teachers to be able to literally take it off the shelf and sit at their desk for 5 minutes and just kind of unwind a little bit. So it's only in paperback. Sorry.
No, I can still read. I have not lost that ability yet, but I guess we just sort of on that right? So,
all right, that sounds good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for watching. And I will see you in the next episode.